Hey guys, how you all doing? Welcome to week 3 of building Takodana in LEGO. And I want to keep this intro pretty short because there's a lot of exciting stuff to come up in this week. But I'm trying out something a little differently and hopefully you will enjoy it. So with that guys, let's get started. Alright guys, so starting this week off, I just want to show you a little bit of what I've been able to get done this week. Now it is Saturday morning. During the week I don't have that much time to be building. Now that it's the weekend, hopefully I'll be able to get a lot of progress pumped out for you guys. But I'll show you over here for a second. This is the beginnings of the depot, and I'm sorry for the little bit of a shaky video. I'm having to do this one-handed. But here is the depot, and it's in a very rough state. Now you can see I've laid out some crates and stuff. I'm thinking, actually it does look kind of good. Now there's the path that will lead to the castle eventually. But of course it is very, very basic at the moment. But I'm liking the general shaping and how, I just really like how it turned out. Now over here, or over there most likely, is where these there's going to be some kind of like hilltop base. I know I've said that before. It's where the first order transport comes and lands and they all run down these paths. But in order to get from here to there, the path had to slope up, and as well as all the ground around it. But how do you guys like what these stairs or the slope and the path looks like? I think it really does look quite cool. I'm really happy with how it turned out. But in terms of what I do want to do right now, I want to focus a little bit on the castle, get a little bit of work on that. And let me just go back around so that I can explain to you guys basically what I'm trying to go for. So I did a little bit of progress this week, and that's going to be this bit. Now I know it doesn't look like much, but here we go. I have plated off this section right here, so it's much more sturdy, and of course it will be much more sturdier once I, make the walls and everything, and of course that. On the bottom you can see all of the plating that went into making this very solid, because I will be moving these around, especially since I can't fit this mop through the door. I want it to be able to be super portable, but of course that is the very rough outline of the path, and there will be much more detailing here. Here's the door for the entrance to the castle, but what you see here in terms of like making it into sections like this, I want to do the same thing for this very flimsy bit over here that's broken, and then this one that is at an angle. Also, I want to point out this area right here. Now, I've just been experimenting. Now I have like no space to walk, but I just get around here. You guys can see that this, if you kind of turn it correctly in a good way, it kind of does make a curved shape, and I think you guys can sort of see that. Now, obviously, I'll need to play around with it and then fix it in place, but how do you like that? Now I'll put a picture on screen of what this is supposed to represent, but I think this is a really good idea of what it could look like as a finished product. So with that guys, I'll get back to you in a little bit to show you what I've been able to get done. Alright guys, so I've been working for a little while now, and this is what I've been able to come up with. Now I said I was going to do this area and that area, but I kind of put that off to the side for a little second because I thought this would be a little bit more important. So just taking a step back, explain to you guys what this is. Now, of course, the castle is at an angle and whatever, and there's this huge area right here in the middle where it's not really its own structure. It's more of a filler point between the buildings, if you will. I'll put a picture on screen. But it's of course on a weird shape because of how the angles of the castles are arranged. So this part you will never see. There will be a bunch of filler brick, and then there will be the roof, which you will see, but that will be in dark tan, and I will basically replicate what you see here on top. But this took me quite a lot longer than I was expecting because I had to work with the wedges that I had, and if I take it out, this is the big shape. So first of all, I had to make it sturdy enough. But it is kind of a weird shape if you look at it. Now if I flip it around, you guys can see roughly how I did it. I tried to use, colors that I weren't ever going to use anywhere else, but you can see how I use the same wedge over and over again because I had quite a lot of them. So, use what you have, and I was able to create this shape quite nicely, I think, and if I put it in here, you see it slips in quite nicely. I mean, there is a little bit of wiggle, but for the most part, it fits quite well. Also, I had to change up this wall over here. Before, it just connected straight into here, but I had to extend it because it made it a little bit more accurate. And because I did that, and because of the, the wedges are only a certain degrees, you can't really alter them that much without making huge gaps, kind of like there. So you really have to stick along one kind of line. So I had to change the hinge a little bit by extending a few bricks over here and reducing a few over there. I basically had to change the angle of this from about right there to, well, I basically had to just change the angle. Right guys, so I last left you having done a little bit on the castle, this little filler section right here. And since then I have worked a little bit on the castle. The main thing that I did do was plate off this whole section, so exactly like this. It is structurally sound now, and it's able to clip in like this to the other structures. Now that's how I'll be able to separate them exactly like I do the plates or the base plates. It's going to just have Technic pin bricks like that just in between the buildings, and I think that's going to work good. And then of course the last thing that I would have to do on this castle would be that last building and over there, but I'm going to have to leave that for a little bit, mainly because it's not a big priority. I don't have the pieces to even really start these buildings yet. They should have come last week, but they didn't, so I'll just have to wait for next week to do those. But in the meantime, I put this on hold and I decided to work a little bit on another part, which I was really excited about. Now here is the depot, and you can see it might not have changed a lot, but I was more trying to go for accuracy than just pump out a lot of progress right here. So there are lots of machinery that you see lying about there. Now, so I made these two fairly unique ones. I think they turned out quite well. Just a little bit of greebling and stuff. They look pretty cool when you take a step back and see this overall scene. And of course, there's going to be fighting all around here, so it's going to look really good. Then there's this building that matches the style of Takodana Castle, or Mas Kanata's castle. And from what I saw in the Battlefront 2 game, this is some sort of a generator. Again, I'll put a picture on screen so you guys get an idea of what I'm talking about. But trying to capture that look, I went for the same style on the slopes where one's a little bit inset from the others, just to give it a little bit of detail. I'm planning on putting some pipes where that headlight brick is, and just all sorts of machinery lying about. And then I thought this could look like some sort of control panel of sorts, and I think it's very simple, but it adds a lot to the MOC. And of course, these little details will help to elevate the detail and just overall aesthetic of the MOC in general. But I think we're nearing the end of what I'll be able to do this week in terms of progress. It is Sunday afternoon, so for the last bits of progress, I think I want to work a little bit on the path right here, just connecting this bit and this bit. That sounds like a good idea. And then I might work a little bit on the Millennium Falcon area over here. I've tried to, plate off a little bit, try to finish it off, because it is fairly simple, just plating work. And I think I'll actually show you this bit over here as well. Just excuse these, I make a big mess when I'm building. But before, you guys may have noticed that this was all one level at one brick high. I decided that wasn't really necessary, and it didn't really give any sort of, everything was just so flat and boring, so I thought I would change it up a little bit, and I think this does look a little bit better. And then of course when I put plants and more detail on top of this, it will look so much better. I also tried to refine the gap in between the green and the tan. Now obviously it's going to look more like this side and not blocky like that, but just little details here and there to make it look a little bit better. So I'll get back to you guys now with the last bit of progress I have for this week. Alright guys, so finishing this week off, I want to give you all a quick tour of the progress that I've been able to get done since the last little bit. And it is getting quite dark now, so I want to wrap this up quite quickly. But the progress that I was able to get done focuses over here around the depot area. Now I connected these two paths right here, and eventually it will connect to the castle over there. I also put a little bit more detail into the depot. I put some plants, some tiles here and there, and I filled up some of the crates with some guns and supplies and stuff. I've just set up a little scene to give you guys an idea of what the finished product might look like. Then the last thing I focused on was the castle over here. Now, of course, it needs to connect to the base plate somehow, but it needs to also be able to be removed so that when I travel, I can take it with me. And the way I've done that is very simply, I've taken filler brick, but then I've tiled it up on top. That way it's not hooked in, and there's just one connection point over here, and that should be enough to hold it in place. Now, of course, there's a little bit of wiggle, but that's all right. And hopefully I'll be able to do this section by next week. But there you go, guys. That is week 3. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure to stay tuned for week 4. And with that, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye.